welcome back to the NWA 1983 project. I'm your host, Juan Cena, and with me, as always, is Matt Riley. How are you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm fired up to talk about feuding.
That is one of our topics on this episode. This episode will be another closed-circuit all-star extravaganza live from the Hartford Civic Center in beautiful Hartford, Connecticut, right in the heart of Vince's territory. Nothing like running a show 20 minutes away from this man's house to really kind of get underneath his skin, but we give no shits.
That's right. Zero.
Zero shits given. On this episode, we're going to take a look at the NXT TakeOver that just recently happened in Philadelphia and this year's Royal Rumble. In addition, we're going to talk about some of our favorite feuds of all time. But first, I want to get some quick housekeeping. First and foremost, we have a lot of new subscribers recently joining us here on the Retro Wrestling Games YouTube channel. So thank you so much for those of you who have subscribed. And to give you a little background on what this show exactly is, since we do have a lot of new viewers, this is essentially a reimagining of what if the NWA went national in 1983 prior to Vince's national expansion. A lot of what-if scenarios here. Essentially, I would be taking over the NWA, whatever that means. Would it actually meaning buying the NWA or getting controlling interest of the NWA somehow, probably through some nefarious means? The second part of the what if scenario is like I would have to get all the promoters to rally behind me and do some things to really get a national expansion going, which would include the stuff as controversial as profit sharing between promotions, national television on ESPN and on TBS, more closed circuit events as we as pay-per-view has not started yet, and we'll probably be the first to get on pay-per-view, trying to innovate that as well. And kind of using Vince's playbook against him, because we have the benefit of foresight here. So you will see a lot more celebrity involvement, closer ties to merchandising.
Does that mean more appearances by Jason Hervey?
Yes. Or, someone of that ilk in 1983 would probably be Todd Bridges and Gary Coleman. But no, if I was going to pick celebrities, I would pick badass celebrities like Chuck Norris or Sylvester Stallone. Those type of level celebrities. My promotion or my territory was like, we're going to try to rebuild Los Angeles. Of course, I'm going to need help by, Gene LaBelle. I have to establish an office. What we went through on prior episodes, my office would basically consist of Jim Barnett, Gary Hart as the booker, perhaps a young Bruce Pritchard who would be producing television for us, so on and so forth, to kind of really streamline everything together. I would be the NWA president or chairman, depending if we're going to make it an actual corporation. But, we'll get into more of that as episodes, as we go into 1984. We're actually in 1984 as we speak, early in 1984. This series will conclude in the next episode, and then we'll start the NWA 1984 project. So that's going to be some fun. We're going to be using, I got some questions about this on Twitter. We'll be using the WWE 2k16 engine for this. We kind of skipped 17 because 83 took so long. This is 2 years of doing this at this point.
Good God.
We're rapidly approaching, entering our third year on this show. So this series will conclude, and then we'll start a brand new series right after this. So stay tuned for that. This show here will feature a fantastic main event. It will be Ric Flair, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, taking on Dusty Rhodes, who is recognized internationally as the #1 contender. So nothing like having Flair and Dusty in Connecticut. We'll see how that goes. In addition, for me personally, with YouTube being what it is and how it is changing, it's very important for everyone. If you like this program and you like what you hear, you want to continue to see more content from us, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give us a like, please. And leave a comment. And if you don't like us, leave a comment too. You can tell me to go fuck off or something. That's fine too. I have no issue with that. But, I think for me, in the last, I'll say month, it's been very important to me to make sure that we are promoting and marketing what we're doing. We have 180 videos currently on YouTube, and we have 600 subscribers currently. I like to get up past 1,000. Watch time is going to be difficult, but we'll see how that ends up. down the road. Even if we don't make our goals, we'll continue to make content for all of you, and hopefully one day we'll get to where we need to be. So I'm actively promoting our channel and our content, would be on Facebook. We have a Facebook page called Pro Wrestling YouTubers United. So please give that a quick look-see. And I'm trying to gather all the pro wrestling YouTubers, podcasters, content creators, and kind of give them a place where they can show off their wares. That's going to be a slow build for that one. It's going to take some time. So we're, right in its infancy. It's about a week old. In addition, I've been promoting our content on Twitter. You can follow us at RWG Presents on Twitter. Please give us a follow there as well. We're currently rapidly approaching 1,000 followers on that. So thank you guys so much for following us on Twitter. Appreciate that. We've been doing a free giveaway. So we recently just had a free giveaway. I gave away a video game. I gave away Fire Pro Wrestling Premium X. So that was a very successful contest that we ran. And we're going to be running more contests down the road, in terms of marketing for our channel. Because I think our content is good.
I didn't get a game.
Well, you didn't like us on Facebook, and you didn't subscribe to the channel, and you didn't retweet the tweets. So there you go.
Well,
you didn't follow the rules.
FTG.
So, guys, we're looking to grow the channel more. In addition, I'm not going to speak for Matt, but I'm going to speak for myself here. Matt, you can chime in anytime. I'm more than willing to guest host or appear on anyone else's, would it be podcast, YouTube show, or what have you. I'm available. So if you want to talk some wrestling with me, if you want me to appear on your show, please let me know. You can DM me on Twitter. Again, it's RWG Presents at Twitter. Or you can email us at lex042000@gmail.com. So guys, if you want to collaborate or if you want us as a guest, please let us know. Matt, are you willing to guest star on someone's show?
Sure. We'll show them what for.
I think it'd be fantastic. So anyone that's interested, please let us know. So moving on, Royal Rumble 2018. Now, Matt, you recently got the WWE Network for the first time, although I've been badgering you for about 2 years to jump on the bandwagon here. My first question for you is, how do you like the network so far?
Well, I like it a lot. It's a great collection of history to go through. So, of course, I immediately started watching random stuff from the past. And, I just finished watching all of the pay-per-views from 1988. I just watched Rumble 89. Kind of fun. This is actually going back to the Mega Powers year. Formation, teaming, and just the cracks are beginning to show. But I also watched, some ECW, which had F-bombs galore. I was like, oh yeah, it's ECW. And then... the little warning, like, mature audiences. And, of course, Joel Gertner starts off with a poem. And I'm like, Joel Gertner, I forgot about how useless that guy was. Like, every week thinking to myself, like, oh, he's going to pan out to be somebody else, and he just was the same useless twat. It's like, oh, man. But, yeah, it's a great collection of stuff. I watched a whole bunch of things. I watched the Royal Rumble. It's my first live pay-per-view. And then I went back and watched NXT. So the Rumble was excellent. I thought it was a good job, as far as presentation. I know there's some squawking from the internet wrestling community. But I think most part people enjoyed it. I know I did.
I thought both shows were really well done. I enjoyed both shows. I do have some nitpicks, but they're very, very minor nitpicky shit. Almost not worth talking about it, but that's what we do on this show.
That's right.
Is nitpick. All right, so first up is NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. This took place on January 27, 2018 at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. First of all, let me say, I've been to a TakeOver, and they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, they look a good time.
Just saying, they're fucking awesome. Up first, we had the Undisputed Era of Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, who defeated the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, with Paul Ellering. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on this match?
I enjoy it. It was funny because I'd heard about the Authors of Pain. And I will say this, for people who don't have the network, that have kind of heard about various wrestlers or gimmicks on the NXT show, and you hear like, oh, Paul Ellering's back. Or if you're like me, like I read like Pro Wrestling Torch a lot of the time for like recaps. So you read names, but you don't really put two together. They were a good team. They were fun. Although I noticed they walk out with kind of like these, demolition type helmets, toss them aside. Like, wear them in the ring, man. Really wear that out. Paul Ellering looks like he always did, so it's like, oh, Paul
does
Ellering
not age this man. This man does not age.
So yeah, it's a good tandem. They have a good presentation. They do well in the ring together. They perform very well. Bobby Fish and Riley I've seen for a while, so I know their work from PWG and other places. So again, it's seeing the presentation, but seeing them as a tandem and how the match went across was really interesting. Good finish, lots of I don't know the right way to say this. Their matches all feel way more intense and personal. It almost reminds me of the NWA versus the WWE back in the 80s, where the feuds were more personal and bitter and rivalry-centered, where the WWF ones were gimmick-centered.
Here's the thing about NXT, though. NXT, they have an hour a week, right? Mm-hmm. And even their takeovers or their pay-per-view style shows, they're even shorter, too. So roster is smaller, so they can focus on who they want to focus on. Without having to worry about focusing on 60 other guys, like a Mojo Rawley for no reason. So everything is really tight, and the matches are always really good. We'll never really see a stinker on NXT, ever. I don't think I've ever seen one, to be completely honest. And their takeovers are like, sometimes they outdo the main roster's pay-per-views. Like, that's happened before. Like, the one I went to, in New York for SummerSlam, like, that takeover is better than SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Velveteen Dream, who defeated Cassius Ohno. They went 10:45 in a singles match. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on this match?
I liked it. I think, again, it goes back to they really know what they put together. So the agents, they talk about the road agents all the time, like who's working with who. I think you can really see that they do a lot to make sure that all of the steps come together. Like, it makes sense. If there's a match to, like, put in place for this, it's going somewhere else. And that's very important. I think there's not enough of that in the, top roster, if you want to call it that, or the big roster. Again, seeing some performers the first time, it's interesting going from, like, reading about it to, like, oh, I don't really get that transition. Why are they so high on this guy? Then you see it, Yeah,
I think Velveteen Dream is going to be a star, and everyone knows how good Cassius Ohno is. The former Chris Hero, he's been having great matches for the better part of the last 15 years or so. So no surprise there. These guys tore it up. So really, really good match. Next up, we have Ember Moon, the NXT Women's Champion, taking on and defeating Shayna Baszler. They went 10:06. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on Ember Moon?
Good to see her performance and kind of see, again, a lot of talk about how her, ring persona and everything. I've never been a big fan of the eye contacts with the different colors. Just, it makes me freak out. I thought Baszler was great. Baszler reminded me of what they'd want Ronda Rousey to be.
Right.
If they were going to make her a total badass and not, yay, we'll get to that later, I'm sure. But Baszler was great as far as the kind of a Brock Lesnar type.
Yeah,
approach.
I can see that.
A threatening, viable contender. And
reminds me a lot of Ken Shamrock.
Yes. I liked it. It was a good show. They did a good job putting it together, and I really think they took the right time to make sure they told the right stories, which is really important overall.
Agreed. Definitely agreed on that. Next up, we had Aleister Black defeated Adam Cole. This was Extreme's Rules match. Now, Aleister Black has a lot of hype for the last couple months. What are your thoughts on him?
Another guy that, heard all the hype, read about it, and okay. I like the presentation. Surprisingly agile for the way he's built.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, really, like, you weren't expecting some of the things. Like, he did one move where he crossed the ring as if he was going to flip, and then realized he couldn't hit this spot, so he bounced off, like almost like a handstand off the top rope and back, except when he flipped and then, like, went into a crouch, like, it's called the Indian position, like, sitting cross-legged.
Yeah.
All in one motion. And it was really, whoa, all right, Their match was very physical. As again, we don't see this often enough, the hatred shines through. I think the good thing was the start of this match was Aleister Black sits in the corner kind of meditating or focusing, and until he stands up, opens his eyes, and looks at, Adam Cole. Adam Cole, I think, transitioned very well as a character. The fans are really behind him as far as, like, being into the character. So I think, he's got ways to go as far as, potential.
Adam Cole, former ROH World Heavyweight Champion.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of Cole's matches because I went to a lot of those Ring of Honor shows at the Hammerstein. So I've seen a lot of Adam Cole, Cassius Ohno, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. So I've seen these guys, a whole lot. Actually, one of the best matches I've seen personally is Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly taking on the Young Bucks. And it was an opening match, too, and they fucking tore down the house.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Next up, we had Andrade San Almas with Selena Vega, who defeated Johnny Gargano. And this was a match for the NXT Championship. Now, this match got 5 stars by Dave Meltzer.
I can see that.
This is the WWE's 6th overall, a 5-star match. The last one being John Cena and CM Punk at the 2011 Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So it's not like the WWE gets 5-star matches from Meltzer very often. For those of you who take, credence in that. So Matt, what are your thoughts on this match?
It was excellent. I do wonder, though, did Daniel Bryan get a residual check for the Gargano pulling off his... He even went so far as to call him, essentially, the next Daniel Bryan. And that's fine. Yeah, he does a great job with it. He sells really well. He's an undersized guy, so you're like, oh, okay. It is a great match. Lots of good spots. I would have liked to see a little more viciousness or anger from CN. I think he was good, and I think overall it was well done. Obviously, it was a really well done match.
Great match. Gargano, who's been someone that's been tearing up every place he's been to. He's been, would it be Evolve or what have you. They don't call him Johnny Wrestling for nothing. He's definitely in the same vein as a Brian Danielson. It reminds me a lot of him. And I think Gargano is going to be a big deal, in the years to come. Andrade Almas, he's what I feel they wanted Del Rio to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Del Rio, I don't think Del Rio ever fulfilled his potential in the WWE. He had good matches and he won, he won the world title and what have you. But I think he wanted him to be just like Almas. And I think Almas' personality is really shining through. And I think his whole persona is really well done. And I can't wait to see him on the main roster. So mouth is watering to see this guy interact with some of the stars in the WWE main roster. So overall, great pay-per-view. Surprised we didn't get a little bit more surprises. With it being in Philly and all. Every once in a while they bring like a Jushin Liger like they did at Takeover Brooklyn or what have you. I'm surprised we didn't see a Tommy Dreamer or someone else of that ilk. It being Philadelphia and all. Maybe a Taz in the front row or something. Just to kind of give a nod to ECW there. They did slightly with the Open. They had Paul Heyman, kind of talk about it, but I'm surprised we didn't see, a little bit more of that here. So overall, a fantastic show. Next up, Royal Rumble 2018. So Matt, what is your overall thoughts on this show?
I enjoyed it. Again, it was my first pay-per-view with the network.
Yeah, because you've been a pirate forever at this point.
What? No, just kidding, FBI listening. Yeah, I could watch the show. It was a fun time. I liked just about everything they did. I think to a degree, just watching from one show to the next, though, I think if I had seen the pay-per-view of NXT first, that would have slightly adjusted my view of it.
Okay, that makes sense. For me, I think the Rumble was done extremely well. Probably the best Rumble they put on in quite a long time. Mm-hmm. I think everyone that should have won did win. I think they elevated guys who needed elevation, and they kind of push feuds in directions where they need to go on the road to WrestleMania. So I think overall it was a great show. Not going to talk about the pre-show matches because we're going to do that in a second when we bring Luke on. But I think, in terms of the AJ Styles and Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match, there was a handicap match for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles, again, to me, is the best wrestler on the planet. Period. Now, a lot of people will throw Omega in that mix. A lot of people will throw Okada in the mix. And some people's lists are interchangeable. They would interchange, right? But for me, for AJ on the big stage, with his schedule, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, his consistency, he's the best wrestler in the world. And I think he proved it once again in a handicap match. And handicap matches are historically difficult to do. Unless you're like a huge monster, right? When's the last time you
Right.
seen a handicap match where it's a little guy taking on two other guys? You know what I mean?
Right.
That historically doesn't happen. Usually it's like Andre the Giant beating people up in handicap matches, right? Or like a Braun Strowman beating up two jobbers. And I think for me, I like the fact that AJ Styles pinned Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens wasn't the legal man. So like a little controversy there. But this
Yeah.
match does not make Owens and Zayn look weak, and it really kind of puts over AJ Styles. So Matt, what are your thoughts on this match?
Oh, I liked it. I think it was a good finish. I think it again shows the dynamic work the guys can do together. I didn't see anything that made me go, "Oh man, this is terrible." Which I think some people really have this mindset of expecting the impossible,
I agree.
or they want this. It's like, come on, man, just enjoy it for what it is.
Like it's funny how people we will completely dissect some of these pay-per-views, especially WWE pay-per-views. And now that you have the network back, you can go back and look at some of the pay-per-views that are lauded throughout history. Some of the best
Sure.
pay-per-views of all times. And you look at some of the matches on there, you're like, ugh. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like even in WrestleMania 5, which is one of the top WrestleManias of all time, there's matches on there that you kind of roll your eyes at and kind of go, ugh, that match wasn't really good. Like for me, I think expectations are way too high in terms of the modern fan base. I don't know what they expect. Essentially, I don't think the WWE knows what they want exactly because every person's different. Like I may love a pay per view, and there might be three other people that hate a pay per view. I may hate a pay per view, and there might be five other people who love that pay per view. So everyone's opinion is slightly different. And I think the days of like everyone universally loving or hating someone are gone because for the most part, except for you, Matt, everyone loved Hulk Hogan during the Hulkamania era. I mean, that was it, right? He was the tits, literally. He was the tits, and everyone hated Roddy Piper until they turned him babyface, and everyone loved him. So it wasn't like you didn't have these split reactions, for the exception of Flair. But Flair is all in his league in his own in terms of that because he would get babyface cheers and heel cheers, and it was weird. A weird dynamic there. That's because of Flair being Flair. But next up, we have the Usos. They're the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions who defeated Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. Again, this is an okay match. They beat them, two straight, which reminds me of when the Islanders beat the Young Stallions two straight at Royal Rumble '88, which is interesting to me. It's an interesting dynamic there. And I think the Usos, I like them now more than I ever had in the past. They kind of got away from like this Samoan Savage type gimmick. They never really even did that 100%. They were kind of in and out with that. But I think now it seems to me like they're more like themselves now. Like they have a swagger and an attitude, which I really do enjoy. And Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, I do enjoy Shelton Benjamin, and I think Chad Gable is someone that could be good in the future, but he's not there yet. So I'm glad to see the Usos go over here. So Matt, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was a good match. The Usos, I think, though, I don't know, their gimmick, I like parts of it, but other parts of it's like, all right, we get it. I'm hoping to see a little more, like when they had going with the New Day was kind of good,
Yeah.
And then they kind of, okay, who's next, and I know they're going to transition to a new feud. Also at the same time, you want to make sure that we're not losing the characters in the transition.
Yeah, you gotta be careful because you don't want to turn the Usos to Make a Difference Usos like they did their father, who did the Make a Difference Fatu, where Fatu was in the streets telling kids not to go in gangs and stuff. Watch your 1995 WWF, people. That was ridiculous. Make a Difference Fatu. Fuck. Next up, we have the Royal Rumble match, 30-man over-the-top Royal Rumble match. This was a shot for the World Championship. Nakamura wins by lastly eliminating Roman Reigns. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on the Rumble match itself?
I was happy to see the direction they went with it. I think Nakamura winning is going to be a good boost for that feud versus AJ. I really think that they went, because people were afraid they're going to go Reigns again. And we talked about this before the show at other times, but part of it I think is telling a story that hasn't been told yet. We've seen the Reigns story.
No one wants to see Reigns or Randy Orton or John Cena win this thing.
Right, like we've already seen them win it. So go a different direction, something new. Like I just watched Rumble '89 and John Studd won it. I was like, ugh,
For real.
You want a good winner. So I think Nakamura can take the ball and run with this. So let's see what he does.
I'm happy to see Nakamura win it, and I desperately want this AJ Styles Nakamura match at WrestleMania. And if they're given enough time, I think they can get another 5-star match. Period.
Yeah.
I wonder what the feud's going to evolve into. What's going to be the personal issue between them. We'll find that out in the weeks to come. I think they did a good job highlighting Finn Balor. He was in there for fucking ever. They did a nice job highlighting a lot of their guys. I know what your favorite spot was with Heath Slater.
Yes. Yeah, that was well done.
Well done. We didn't see a lot of over the hill, like legends come in and kind of muddy up the Rumble. Not a whole lot of comedy spots here, which was good. Next up, we have Cesaro and Sheamus, who defeated Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan. The fucking Bar, that's what their name is now, huh?
Yes.
Fuck that. I hate Sheamus. I'll call him Sheamus. I don't like him. I think Jason Jordan's going to be done for the next year. I think this was a match that's trying to salvage a couple angles here. Obviously, Dean Ambrose is out. This probably would have been Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins taking on Cesaro and Sheamus. But since Dean Ambrose is out, they kind of threw Jason Jordan in there, and then you have that Jason Jordan Kurt Angle, which is, and it's kind of like, oh, we're going to try to salvage this fucking thing, and this is what we get. So I think overall, it's probably the worst matchup.
Yeah, I agree. It was Jason Jordan, knowing now that he had surgery and he's done for quite a while. It makes sense what they did. They had to do something to kind of string along the story and get the belts back on Sheamus and
Cesaro.
Did you see Raw the next night?
No, I had the shits.
Oh, okay. Well, you should know that they did the tag match, and this time was Roman Reigns stepped in to replace Jordan.
Okay.
And they did one of my favorite, best moments I've seen in a while, where Reigns and Rollins were in control, and Jason Jordan came down to ringside because of shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
And was trying to help out and just kind of watch their back. And of course, Cesaro and Sheamus start yelling at him and like taking a swing at him, so he blocks it and punches him. He gets them disqualified.
Nice.
So they lose. And Seth Rollins' face and Roman's reaction were perfect. He was like, dude, what the fuck? It was just so good because it was like that's the reaction you'd have, like, no. Like, so he screwed up and screwed him over one more time, Now the question is going to be, how do you bring him back? Do you bring him back and just try to repeat and get back on track?
I think you have to send him back to NXT, repackage him as something else. That's why you have NXT for.
But you don't think you could bring him back as Ankle's kid still?
No. You could talk to it was a false positive on the paternity test or blah blah blah, whatever. There's a lot of things you can. There's a lot of things you can do. I think it hurt him big time because he came out with a lot of hype. Him and Gable came out with a lot of hype on NXT, and that kind of killed any momentum that he had. So send him down, have him be something else. Whatever. Fix him. Next up, we have Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. He defeated Kane and Braun Strowman in a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. This match went 10:55. So Matt, what are your thoughts on this match?
Shorter than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
But there was some internet chatter about some of the shooting I thought was going on between Strowman and Brock.
Brock Lesnar punched that motherfucker in the face.
He did. But they also thought that he got kneed in the... I mean, it's one of those things, it's a business. You're throwing punches against people. It's going to happen.
Which if they end up doing a Brock Lesnar Braun Strowman match, they can showcase that. Like, these guys are just going to try to beat the shit out of each other.
Right.
And if they do have that match, that's what exactly they should do. You should just fucking hammer each other. I think overall, it was an alright match. Kane's in there to take the fall, as we know. And it continues a possible Brock Lesnar Braun Strowman match, maybe at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be Reigns and Lesnar at WrestleMania personally, but we'll see how that goes. Overall, it was all right. Next up, we have the 30 Women's Royal Rumble match, the first time in history. And the winner of this gets a shot at the Women's Championship of their choosing. We had Asuka, who won by lastly eliminating Nikki Bella. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on the Women's Rumble, the first ever Women's Rumble?
I thought it was good. I thought that it was interesting because it brought back a lot of divas / legends,
Maybe too many, I think.
Yeah, they kind of dipped in that pool. So what ended up happening is it was spot by, I think it was Kelly Kelly or Michelle McCool, one of
It
them.
was Kelly
But
Kelly, who was like a
yeah,
walking, talking box, and I was afraid that she was going to hurt somebody.
yeah, and she tried to go for her head scissors, and it was botch city. And what it really did is it showed the progression. I was saying earlier, but I watched the Rumble '89, where Rockin' Robin defeated Judy Martin to retain the WWF Championship for Women's,
Yep.
and what a shit match it was. Number one, and two, how almost the opposite direction. Like there was such a focus on the athleticism that they're like Judy Martin looked like a bus driver for schools for your kids.
First of all, you can't talk shit about Judy Martin because her and Leilani Kai were fucking power bombing people in 1987 and giving no shits. The Glamour Girls was an awesome tag team. They were fighting the Jumping Bomb Angels, and they were awesome.
Not too late. She was awful.
She looks like the lunch lady. You're right.
She does. But Rockin' Robin was also like, the fans are just like, yeah, whatever. So it was such a jump from one generation or whatever to now.
There's a big difference between the Candice Michelles and the Kelly Kellys and Ashley Mazzaros of that era to,
right.
It progressed to, like, you had Mickey James who could work, you had Gail Kim that could work, Lita, but you also had a lot of women in there that were, that were trash. Tori Wilson looked okay. She probably looked the best that she's ever. Tori Wilson probably looked the best that she's ever looked. To be completely honest, Trish Stratus looked good. Molly Holly looked fucking excellent.
Yeah, I do think the one thing that was missing. This is my only nitpick of the event. And I thought a lot of it was done really well.
Wendy Richter?
No. Just have a rollout. No, I think that they could have done a spot that would have led to a angle out of it besides the winner.
Yeah.
Meaning that Sasha Banks eliminated Bayley. And you really could have had Bayley turn on her and, like, out of anger or whatever, and it would have been believable and like, oh, explain your actions the next night. You didn't get that. Instead, the next night we got Asuka versus Sasha Banks, who's determined to destroy herself with a terrible spot.
I've said it here for the last 2 years.
Yes, our new subscribers should know. We've been calling this for a long time.
Every time she does a suicide dive, she lands on her face. Every fucking time. Remember when she almost fucking killed fucking Charlotte that one time?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Like I keep thinking about it. I know she kicked Paige, and you can say the whole thing, well, it's part of the biz. You know what? Sorry, but, like, people don't cut Rollins any slack for the fact he mangled Cena's nose. He power buckle bombed Sting. He blew out what's-his-face Finn Balor's shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's like, what happens once, okay, happens twice, but, like, Sasha Banks is a time bomb. It's going to happen. And we're going to sit here and go, we're going to have a Lita moment where she flips over on her neck and doesn't get up. Yeah. And we're going to go, well, and it's like, someone needs to talk to her, an agent, whoever's
I know Mick Foley tried to talk to her. She's like, yo, you can't be doing that shit no more.
Yeah. And just, look, I appreciate what you're trying to do, kid, but, it's not going to do any work. Like, the perfect example is the Daniel Bryan Miz thing. Do you want to be able to come back in 20 years as a diva/women's wrestler in the reunion Royal Rumble thing, or do you want to be the one that's, like, unable to do anything because you can't, like, Paige now?
Right.
Although Paige was on TV the other night, so she's still on TV, which is good because she's a great talker. So if that's a transition she has to make, I think she should be with a male wrestler and have her be like a new female manager, Heenan style.
Agreed. You see Lita almost fucking kill herself on that moonsault too?
Yes. Lita, come on, remember, I know you took a lot of hits to the head. Come on.
Seriously, like, just, like, maybe do commentary or something. But I think overall the Women's Rumble was good. I think they did too many double cross spots, but that's me personally, and too many apron spots, which I don't know why they're all of a sudden doing a ton of those. And there was a point in the match where I thought Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and all of them were eliminated, but they were just down forever.
Yes.
And, like, I think 2 people came in. Like, 2 people made their entry, and, like, oh, they're still in this fucking match? Holy shit. I think what's her, Naomi? Her spot was cool like that.
Oh, the Kofi spot?
The Kofi spot, yeah. So I thought that was pretty neat. So Overall, well done. At the end, we had Ronda Rousey come out, try to shake Asuka's hand. Asuka slaps it away, and then they point at the WrestleMania sign. So a lot of people, some of them are not even people, I don't think, feel that this really took away from Asuka's moment. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with that. I think that if she was going to make this debut, fine. But I do think that what you missed out on was you had Charlotte, you had what's her face,
Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, Bliss, and you have this moment where it's like, okay, who's she gonna pick? Rousey comes out, and it's one thing if Rousey comes out and scowls and sets the tone, but she's all like, "Hey, everybody, I'm here at Royal Rumble." It's like, yeah, no, don't do that. Like, just be in character, like, because I don't think it's gonna be her.
Do you think
persona.
Do you think the scenario is going to be she's going to have her match with Stephanie at WrestleMania, and then they're going to send her? Yeah. Do you think that she's going to have her match with Stephanie at WrestleMania, and then they're going to send her down to NXT for 18 months? Like, would you you're still technically a celebrity in her little celebrity match, and then now we really have to train you?
Yeah.
So I can see a scenario where that happens because you have her now. You want to put her on WrestleMania, but she's still essentially untrained. That you're not going to really hide her in a 6-woman tag match. What do? You have her. You got the hype from her. You can have her little match with Stephanie. It'd be 5 minutes or whatever. She makes her tap out, whatever. Stephanie runs away crying, wanting revenge or whatever. Then you send her down to NXT for 18 months to make sure she gets trained proper. Because what you have the possibility is of producing another Brock Lesnar type wrestler. You don't want to squander that opportunity by putting up on her main roster, giving her matches, and having her look foolish.
Right. I think it depends how you want to handle it. Like, because I do think in a way it's hard to say. I do think she should go to NXT. It's just how you get her there, really. Do you have Stephanie pull a fit and say, "Oh yeah, well your contract's great, but you're gonna go to NXT and work your way up or whatever," Because I thought when they had the 4 of them in the ring, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna have a 4-person match with Charlotte, Alexa, Asuka, and
that's disaster written all over it."
Right, because I think in a way you got to hide her because yes, she can compete physically, combat wise, but I think the best non-wrestler I can think of was probably was it LT when Lawrence Taylor wrestled Bam Bam Bigelow?
Yeah.
He carried himself pretty well for a guy who had like 3 or 4 moves to go with.
That guy from Arrow did well too.
Did he? I missed that.
Yeah, he did well.
Steven Arnett.
Yeah. You can also do a scenario where she gets fucking knocked out by fucking Asuka. Like she thinks she's ready. She gets in the ring with Asuka. Asuka knocks her out, and then she gets stuff at NXT to kind of recover from that.
Yeah.
But even that could be like that's a fucking gamble and a half too. But that really sends Asuka to the next level as well. So it depends. You're spending, obviously her contract's probably fucking big. You need to get return on that investment. So I say put her in a bullshit WrestleMania celebrity type match, right? Put it on early, and then send her down to NXT and let her get trained legit, and take it from there. She could be an angle and she could be a natural. Like Kurt was a fucking natural pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Like he's a great Olympian, he's a great, amateur wrestler, but he is a natural pro wrestler. Between personality, timing, and just instincts. He has it. They've been trying for years to recreate that. WWE gets in these weird kind of things where if they make one, they think they can make 50 of them. They could turn them out. Like did this Angle? They all of a sudden they're going through NCAA tournaments trying to recruit kids, and they end up being Jack Swagger, and you're like,
I'll tell you who to watch out for name wise.
Who
is a football player named Rob Gronkowski.
You think he's coming?
Rob Gronkowski has had a number of injuries in the last 4 or 5 years or more. Yeah. He's always had injuries, but he's been a wrestling fan his whole life. He was actually part of the show last year, I think it was. And it was funny because after he lost that Super Bowl, Jinder Mahal tweeted at him saying, "That's what you get for crossing me." I was like, that's awesome.
Who was that Philadelphia Eagles player who came out dressed crazy today?
I
during
didn't
the
see
parade.
it.
Oh, there's some.
It's probably Chris Long though. He wears a dog face mask
I
all
don't
the
think it
time.
was him. It was Jason something. Hold on.
But anyways, I think one of the things that happened after apparently during the week, Sylvester Stallone and The Rock both pulled him aside and said you should consider doing movies because you can make more and more money doing movies and not getting hurt.
Right.
And I think Gronkowski could be huge. I think it honestly depends how much of a stick he's doing and if he sticks with it or not. Like if he's just like a party guy who's kind of like adult, okay. But if that's a character, like I was like, okay, what could I do for a movie for him? Action movie, whatever, But if he was in wrestling, which I could see him doing, it'd be a matter of how he transitioned into the business,
Yeah, I agree.
He'd either be a natural or be a complete disaster. It's one of the two. I don't think it's any in between for him.
Like football players always tend to have issues transitioning because they're so used to working at full speed. And
Right.
and to be honest, wrestling is always at half speed, right? So when you go to clothesline someone, it's not at full speed. You take something off of it, right? And it's hard for these guys to pull back. Although there's been notable great wrestlers who were, pro football players. Talking about Ernie Ladd, you're talking about Wahoo McDaniel, Dusty Rhodes, apparently. Although we don't know if that's true or not. But there has been some football players that have not made the transition so well, like Lex Luger. Now, Lex Luger's a big star, but would you call him a world-class worker? No. Ron Simmons, I love Ron Simmons to death, and he became better as he got along, but when he first started, was he a world-class worker? No. Corbin is what you're looking at now, because he played ball.
Yeah.
But, I'm always on the fence with Baron Corbin anyway, personally. I think he's athletic as fuck, but there's something about him that is like, I think there's something not connecting there, for at least for me, with Baron Corbin. I don't know what it is. Kind of reminds me of Luger a lot, with that kind of aloofness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can see like hardcore wrestling fans not really getting into him because he does, he reminds me of Lex a lot. And Lex has changed his ways, and he's a great guy right now. I saw an interview with him, and he's awesome. He says like, I wasn't that great in the ring. He's not someone who won't admit his own fault. So that's good to see. But it's all what they're gonna do with Ronda, what they're gonna do to see if they can get a return on their investment, because I'm assuming she's making a lot of money. And then to put her in a top spot with her not properly trained is a mistake. So we'll see how that goes from here. All right, so we're going to kick it over to our modern wrestling correspondent, Luke Martin, who has his thoughts on the 2018 Royal Rumble. And I'm here with our modern wrestling correspondent, Luke Martin, and we are going to discuss the 2018 Royal Rumble. How you doing today, Luke?
I'm doing wonderful now that I'm on here with you.
That sounds creepy. Okay.
And it's supposed to be fun.
Moving on. Now, this year's Royal Rumble took place in the Wells Fargo Center in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So, Luke, what are your overall thoughts on this show?
Well, first of all, fuck Philadelphia. I fucking hate Philadelphia, and there's nothing good that comes out of Philadelphia. Fuck the Eagles.
Not even cheesesteak?
You know what? It's all happened. I can get cheesesteak anywhere, all right? You can put your name on whatever the fuck you want. But I don't like Philadelphia because I've been a lifelong Cowboys fan, and they're just obnoxious fans.
Well,
like
there's some people up in New York who will say the same thing about Cowboys fans now.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? Fuck
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can't help being good. So can't help it. But anyway, let's get off of that point. The show itself was great. It was the first Royal Rumble in a long time where I didn't feel cheated. I didn't feel that I didn't get what I wanted as a fan, and also I didn't feel like they just did things to do them. Like, I think they elevated people, and I think that they didn't rely on gimmicks and dumb shit like they usually do. They just had a good Royal Rumble. And I think that the Royal Rumble, even though it's like fun, is really a difficult match to pull off year after year after year.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much you can do with that many people. but I think that they did a really good job utilizing the full extent of their roster for once on both shows, not just Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
So I think that was good. And very small doses of the McMahons, except Stephanie McMahon should never be on commentary, ever.
I actually turned the commentary off.
That's probably a wise choice.
Yeah, I was like,
Because
fuck this shit.
it was like listening to, it's just is awful. It was like literally listening to somebody.
Stepping on a cat.
Yeah, or like she was just like a party hack. Like she just said what she was like most appropriate, and she kept just constantly pointing out things that we get it. It's historical. Thank you for letting us know that all the fucking time. Like we get it. It's a big deal. You don't have to keep telling us that.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
They did have 3 pre-show matches. I don't even know why they have pre-show matches. I've made this point before because why exactly do you have a pre-show match? Historically, pre-show matches are used, at least in the WWE's term, to promote a pay-per-view. So they're usually on the pay-per-view channel right before the show starts to get those last-minute people to sign up for the pay-per-view. But since you have the network, why are these not on like Facebook or something that you can watch these matches? It's very strange to me. I think it's a scam to make sure that the performers in these matches do not get residuals and they get paid less because they're technically not on a pay-per-view. Dick move. We had Kalisto, Grand Metalik, and Vince Dorado, who defeated TJ Perkins, Gentleman Jack Gallagher, and Drew Gulak in a 6-man tag match that went 13 minutes. We had the Revival, who defeated Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson in a tag team match. And you had Bobby Roode defeat Mojo Rawley. Now, this was a United States Championship challenge match.
There's a real question. Would you ever put Mojo Rawley in the same ring with Bobby Roode?
Agreed. From what I understand, it was supposed to be Ziggler.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Ziggler in that spot, but they changed it for whatever reason.
I mean, I'm kind of glad they changed it because we don't need to see Roode versus Ziggler again.
For the 150th time, yeah.
I don't know why.
I would have liked to see someone from NXT come up and challenge.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, it would have been fun. Like it could be anyone, or bring in, you could bring in a pseudo legend or someone that's been off the roster, maybe a Tommy Dreamer in this spot, because it is Philly. So it's
Right.
very, very, very strange to me why they chose Mojo here. I probably would even prefer to see Zack Ryder in this spot, to be completely honest.
Right. I don't need a poor man Zack Ryder, but that's what Mojo Rawley is at this point. So I don't know what they're trying to do with him. I mean, I don't dislike him. I don't care. I mean, I don't really care for him as a wrestler. I don't think he's a bad guy.
I just think he's insignificant in terms of the roster. It doesn't make a difference if he's on it or not.
Right. 100%. So, and I didn't watch any of the pre-show matches because I already have 3 hours of Royal Rumble. I don't need to spend any more time with things that have no bearing on anything that's going on. So.
Agreed. First up, we had AJ Styles, who defeated Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This was a handicap match for the WWE Championship. It went 15-55. So what are your thoughts on this match?
I mean, handicap matches are always bizarre because it doesn't make any sense that Kevin Owens already beat AJ Styles for the title, but then he can't do it with Sami Zayn. But because those 3 people just decided to show up that night, it was a great match. If you have AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens in a ring, you're going to get a decent match no matter what happens. So it was a great match. AJ Styles is phenomenal in everything that he does. So, I mean, really, it kind of furthered that weird Shane McMahon thing. And I like how they did it because even though it's weird that he beat them, he didn't really beat them as much as he got away with something by pinning Kevin Owens, who wasn't that. So that's probably the best way I've ever seen a handicap match in the sense of it didn't really make Kevin Steen or Sami Zayn look weak, but it made AJ Styles look smart, but it didn't just like make them look foolish or stupid.
Right.
So I think it's neat how they're using Owens and Zayn because I think it's doing a lot for Sami Zayn to have Kevin Owens because he was kind of like doing nothing for so long. And I think it's good. It's a good sign.
I heard rumors earlier that he was going to be on 205. They really didn't see anything in him in terms of any kind of title runs. There was no push coming, although he was able to have these really awesome matches. There was nothing to him. But you put him with Owens and their chemistry, I think it does really wonders for Sami Zayn and his profile overall.
Yeah, and I think it means that Sevenstein is a great fucking friend.
Yeah.
Because it feels like to me that Kevin Owens made that happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he did it by, like, he just did what he needed to do to get behind the scenes to make something like that happen. And it's cool to me because it seems like they're listening a little bit more to some of their top guys when it comes to storytelling and ideas and things that they're doing. And I think that it works when they're both invested in that storyline that might seem kind of weird, because then they really put it over. And I think it comes off as really good. And it was a good way to move Owens out of the title picture. So AJ Styles is free to take on other challengers. That's a plus.
Yeah, agreed.
As we'll find out later.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Usos, who defeated Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship, and they won 2-0.
I mean, it was a good match.
You know the last time I've seen that, by the way? A tag team match that went 2-0 was in the very first Royal Rumble. It was the Islanders taking on the Young Stallions. The Islanders just beat them 2-0 in the main event.
Maybe it's a family thing.
Well, maybe.
I don't know.
Oh, there you go. You made that correlation, can't you?
Yeah. Well, no, I just think that the Usos are great.
They're so much better now than doing that recycled old half-hearted Savage gimmick they were doing, sort of.
Right. Well,
and now they seem like they have more street credibility, and they're being, more just themselves.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're more genuine, and I think that they are just really doing really good. They're just really good. Like they're not really change anything other than the way that their characters were. Yeah. But they just continue to put on good matches with whoever they're with, and any team that they touch looks good. Like, even though Benjamin and Gable, who should be Jason Jordan, but let's not get into that. He makes a more believable Kurt Angle son. I'm just saying. But
I think everyone in the world thinks that.
But anyway, I think it's cool they brought back Shelton Benjamin. I like what they're doing. I don't really understand the end of the match, but hopefully that kind of leads to something between the two. Yeah. But the Usos did a good job. It was a good match. It was exciting. And I mean, I don't know what it is, but the Usos bring the best out of anybody they're kind of taking on.
They have a certain swagger about them that just makes them really, really good. Really enjoyable. Next up, we have the 30-man over-the-top Royal Rumble. And this the winner of this match gets a World Championship match at WrestleMania 34. Now, Nakamura did win the Rumble by lastly eliminating Roman Reigns. So, Luke, what do you think about the Rumble this year?
Stellar. I think that it showed the roster. I think that it gave a little bit to the fans. I think that they are paying attention to how people feel about things. I think that it was neat that they gave Rusev and especially Finn Balor such crazy long runs. Yeah. That was really cool. Like, I didn't really expect that to happen. They didn't really have a lot of people, like gimmicky people that came out, which they usually do, but they didn't this time, and I think that actually helped the match. And I think that it was really neat to have that moment where they kind of had like the new guys versus the old guys.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So I thought that was good, and I'm really excited that they're going to do something with Nakamura. I really liked how he threw out Roman Reigns. I think that was the perfect way to end the match. I also think it's great that he threw out John Cena because it kind of showed that he's legit, and I think that people, I mean, they're chanting his fucking music when he comes out. So people are obviously invested in him, but I think that psychology of having Roman Reigns had that last chance and then Nakamura take it from him, I think is really awesome. It's a really great idea. And I just thought it went over really good. People got what they wanted. They got what they wanted to see. And Mysterio is fucking amazingly jacked now. Mm-hmm. So he's looking really good. So that was cool to have him. Because even though, bring back a little pop, he hasn't really lost anything. People follow Lucha Underground and things like that. So it's not like he was some old timer that came out there. I mean, he could still tear it up. So it was just really cool to see all that stuff, and I think that they did a really good job, and they put over the right person and the right people in the match. Everybody that should kind of get a rub got a rub, and they didn't have anybody, that is obviously like John Cena didn't come out and eliminate 10 guys or anything crazy.
Yeah.
So that's nice to see. And I don't know what it is about John Cena, but he's playing up the heel shit like to death. Like he was a fucking dick in that match, like mocking people and like doing asshole shit to people all the time. And I think that's good. It's a very subtle heel, but he also is, for a guy in his spot, he is super willing to like put people over. And I think that's cool to see, because all the shit people give him, and maybe he was back in the day, but whatever. He does a good job at putting people over, especially some of the new guys. So
I do enjoy his hair transplant that he recently just got. Him and Orton, maybe they went together to get their hair transplants. That's pretty cool. I did really enjoy the Rumble this year. It was really, really well done. I do have nitpicks, and this is some nitpicky shit, but I'm crazy. The Rumble was great. I enjoyed it. It was awesome. But there was two things that really stood out to me that really kind of made my skin crawl a little bit, and there's spots in the match that happen quite a bit where everyone's laying down, and the two guys who are in their sequence are the only two guys up. So
True.
if you weren't involved in the sequence, you were laying down. Then guys lay down for extended periods of time, where if you look at past Rumbles, there's constantly people trying to eliminate other people, not a bunch of people laying down on the ground while two people are doing spots. And then the other thing was they did a lot of apron spots. Like way too many. This goes for both the men's and women's Rumble. Tons of apron spots. Like someone gets thrown off the top rope, they get caught on the apron, and then something happens. Either get eliminated, get back, or whatever. But just a ton of those. Where like it almost happened in the women's matches, it's way worse than the men's match. But it's really like, can you guys get more creative with the eliminations here? Because you guys are doing exactly the same thing over and over again. So that was the only that stood out to me in terms of any kind of negativity. Nakamura probably was the right guy to win. Again, it frees up Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, Kane, and Braun Strowman to do stuff down the road if necessary. And it gives you a headlining main event for WrestleMania. So
I think it's going to be, if they put Styles and Nakamura as the headlining match, I mean, they already know what they're going to get.
Right.
But you have it on a grander scale, and I think it's going to be great because both of those guys, people really, really love them for a good reason. I think they're the two best guys to put on the best match possible for WrestleMania. So I don't know.
It may not get 5 stars, but I think they're going to try to go, like, if they get time, if they get 25 minutes, I think they'll go for the gold and try to get a 5-star match out of this.
Well, they're just, I don't know. AJ Styles is just on a different level right now. I would say, he's
a lot of people have him high in I have him as number 1 best in the world right now. I know a lot of people they're interchangeable with Omega and Okada, and those three tend to, interchange for most people. But for me, it's still AJ Styles number 1.
Yeah. Well, you could debate that endlessly, but yeah, I would say,
it's so close.
Bar none, he's the best in WWE right now.
Yeah. So, head and shoulders above everyone else right now.
Yeah, and you can tell they have a lot of confidence in it.
Well, I think he's one of Vince's boys now because he did a couple of things that, if you know a little bit about Vince, he gravitates to guys who have loyalty, guys who will go out of their way to help the company. Like he came in and did those substitutions when he was asked. They asked Jericho. Jericho turned him down, so he came in and did the substitutions. He's in, he took the belt of Jinder Mahal. Brock Lesnar wanted to work with him and not Jinder. That's the truth. That's just the reality of the situation. So he might be one of Vince's guys. And so we can see him get a push up to the moon.
Yeah, well, every time he fills in, he puts on a good match. Yeah. He came in, literally flew overnight to take on Finn Balor, and they just called it a fucking ring, and it was great. So, and if he can get Brock Lesnar to act like he's actually hurt, it's just amazing.
And you saw how much respect that Brock had for him, actually selling for him and shit.
Well, and I've never heard anything bad about AJ Styles.
Never. He's not like Braun Strowman where Brock went to go fucking knock him out, but that's a whole other story.
That was awesome. But anyway,
awesome.
all right.
Next up, we have Cesaro and Sheamus, known as The Bar, apparently. I don't know what that means exactly. And they defeated Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan to win the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship. This went 12:49. So, Luke, what are your thoughts on this match?
This is the worst match of the night by far.
Is it Jason Jordan's fault?
No, it's not Jason Jordan's fault.
Is it Sheamus? I hate Sheamus. You know this, right?
Yes, but I think it was just the way they booked the match. Like, it made sense good sense psychologically to have something like that happen, but it just really took away from the match because the match was like way too. So people like super amped for after the Rumble, and then they went way back down after this match. But that, as much as it doesn't make any sense to have us up the card, it's actually a good place to put it because any match that's going to follow the Rumble is going to be really hard to be able to get into because they just spent all this time super amped, and with Nakamura winning and the fact he's going to face AJ Styles at WrestleMania, I mean, it was good to put that match in there and kind of slow people down a little bit, give them time to go take a piss and come back and get ready for the main event of the night. So even though it was a stupid, shitty match where like Jason Jordan got hit in the head and had a concussion or something, I don't know. But I mean, the whole idea for these matches is fucked because Dean Ambrose is hurt.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, they're trying to make the best of a bad situation.
You have two shitty angles, and they're trying to salvage one angle out of this. With the Shield, with Dean Ambrose being out, it kills their angle, and with the shitty Jason Jordan angle with Kurt. So they're trying to just, we're going to smash it together and see if we can salvage this shit. The Jason Jordan stuff is probably going to be done. He's out with an neck injury. He'll probably be out for the next year. So we won't be seeing much from him going forward. So, but, this match was a meh for me. Whatever. I hate Sheamus. I love Cesaro. There's no actual reason why I hate Sheamus. I call him Sheamus, by the way.
Yes.
There's no actual reason. He's a good enough wrestler. He's a good enough talker. He's fine. I don't like him. I want to bite his face. I don't know. Sometimes he's just people that you don't like, and I don't like him. I just don't.
I don't know.
He makes me want to turn off the TV every single time.
I don't know. That's weird.
And it's been that from like literally day one, by the way. So there's not like me being mad that he beat Daniel Bryan in like 30 seconds or something. Like I literally hated him since the first time I ever saw him. In like the Irish independence, like in circa 2003 or something.
It's a deep-seated hatred.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Next up, we have Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman defeated Kane and Braun Strowman. This was a triple threat match for the WWE Universal Championship. This went 10:55. So what are your thoughts on this match? Do you think Braun should have went over here?
It depends on what they plan on doing with the angle. Now, if they want to build it up and maybe do something at WrestleMania, then it makes perfect sense. But if they don't do anything with it, then they made the wrong decision. Because Braun Strowman is like on fire. So do you see that stuff he's doing with Alexa Bliss? It's fucking fantastic. Everything that somehow this guy he's just awesome at what he does. Like, I don't know. Like, he's an okay worker. He's a pretty good look, and as of right now, not much in terms of charisma, but he's over? He's very strange. Well, I think it's just because he's like you. Like, I hate his gear. He's still in that like weird Wyatt gear. And he should be wearing like jean shorts and like a USA biker tank top, like the guy from Bloodsport, because he looks like him. He does look like him. But yeah, I mean, he's just big. And like, I think that's something, like seeing him live and just like, he's just a big motherfucker. Like he makes Brock Lesnar look like a normal person. Right. So I think that's really cool. And they always put him over really good. He never really looks weak or stupid. Always tipping over a car. Yeah. But he does like crazy shit. He's really, really like legit strong. So I think, I don't know. He seems a little bit more credible. And he's like weirdly agile for like a giant motherfucking, like, we've had big guys like, John, Tetna and people like that. Like your Sids, your Elegantes, so on and so forth. Elegante. But yes, but he just moves better, and he just seems just a big fucking dude. And then, I think it plays in, like, you have like the dude that plays the Mountain on Game of Thrones, and that guy's fucking enormous too.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see somebody that's that big, and he's not roided out. He's just a fucking big son of a bitch. And so he's just real strong. He did strongmans and stuff like that. And he doesn't try to, like, have these real in depth. He just does what he does. He's a fucking monster, and they book him that way. So
I would just change his gear and give him the belt. If you want, bring him to the ring in a giant, like, wolf's fucking wolfskin fucking cloth or something. I don't care. Just change it because he looks like a dirty hobo.
Well, he is a pretty dirty hobo. But no, I don't know. I think it was good that obviously Brock didn't beat him, so that was intelligent. Kane, I really think that's the only reason Kane was in that match.
We'll take the
Portland Jacobs, they're like, hey, I need you to come back and get fucked up and get beat. But he does what he does. He's a good little guy, so he comes in there and just takes the fall. So, that's fine, whatever. It wasn't a great, wonderful match, but it continues to put Braun Strowman over. And I think having him, like, punch the shit out of Brock Lesnar and then get kneed in the fucking head and not die makes him even more of a badass.
Yeah.
Because he got fucking rocked by Brock Lesnar, and he rocked him. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think that's how Brock likes to work. So I think that Braun Strowman is somebody that you can really visibly see, like, perceive as, like, a real threat to Brock Lesnar. And I think that Brock likes working with him because it's like, I listened to Big Show on Jericho, and he talked about he would go in and wrestle Brock and take the F5. And the reason that he'd take the F5 and Brock would win is because sometimes the F5 just needs to have a giant get destroyed by it. It gives credibility to it, right? So anytime, if Brock beats him or, he somehow outwits him and, this kind of thing, like, they're changing the way Brock's character is. Like, he was a monster for so long and that got kind of old. Well, now he's kind of met his match as far as, like, you can't just throw Strowman around. So now he's starting to outthink him and do that kind of thing. And I think that was a smart thing that they kind of implanted in your mind. It's like, oh, Brock's changing. He outthought Braun Strowman, that kind of, he's crafty or whatever. So he's not just a big dumb heel anymore. So I think that it's good. I think that it's a good, smart thing. I don't know who they hired or whatever, but evidently someone's in the back room is starting to, like, think, like, logically about things and actually, like, thinking beyond, like, month to month. They think, like, oh, okay, we want to plan out to WrestleMania, not we want to plan to whatever bullshit pay-per-view they have between now and WrestleMania. What is it, Fastlane or some bullshit?
Roadblock, Fastlane. They did an Elimination Chamber, I think. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
Fuck that shit.
That's correct.
I'm not gonna watch the pay-per-view until WrestleMania anyway. just the reality of the situation. And then lastly, but not leastly, which is not really a word, we had the 30 Women Royal Rumble match. The winner of this match gets a title shot at the Women's Championship at WrestleMania 34, and it was won by Asuka, who eliminated Nikki Bella. Now, before you start, I really did like this match, but I gotta throw some nitpicks in there because I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't nitpicking. Again, too many people laying down doing nothing when people are doing their sequences. There was a spot in there where I thought Sasha Banks and Nia Jax was eliminated, and I just missed it because they were gone for so long. And I'm like, oh, they're still in the match. Holy shit, what the fuck? So that was a really long time. And then still with the apron spots, a shitload of those as well. And I do appreciate bringing some new women back from the past, but for Jesus Christ, Kelly was going to fucking kill somebody if she didn't get eliminated quickly. Because she's walking, talking botch, this woman is. And when's the last time she actually wrestled in a match anyway? I was afraid that Alita was going to break her neck any second. She almost did on that fucking moonsault.
Yeah, I thought she was going to die.
Beth Phoenix looked great. That was cool. Oh, also, they did like 3 double crosses. So they did the double cross with Bailey and Sasha. They did the double cross with Natty and Beth, and they did the double cross with the Bellas. Like 3 times in that fucking match they did it.
Oh, it worked. I mean, I don't know. Beth
3
Phoenix,
times though.
yeah, it's 3 different separate situations. All right. So I thought it was good. Isn't Beth Phoenix married to Edge?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And the whole thing
So,
was
yeah.
that she's best friends with Natty in real life. So unless you
Yeah.
didn't know that, you wouldn't know that. But
Well, they mentioned that.
They did mention
At
that.
least.
Okay. I know. I have the commentary off.
Oh, okay.
By the way, Molly Holly looked great in that match.
Yes. She teaches at like Davari's
Nice.
school in Minnesota. It's like Mr. Anderson and Davari's school in Minnesota, and she's like a counselor for like teenagers, like troubled teens. But she also does like the women's. So yes, Molly Holly looked really. I think surprisingly, the women legends look far better than most of the men legends when they come back.
Oh, agreed. I think Trish Stratus looked good. Tori Wilson wasn't embarrassing in the ring. That's a good. Surprised Stable wasn't on the show. So I'm pretty shocked that she didn't make an appearance here.
I think. She's not. She's somewhere, wherever Brock Lesnar lives.
Like, does Brock keep her in the fucking basement or something?
I wouldn't say that. I don't know what Brock does. I'm not going to talk bad about Brock Lesnar ever.
Because he listens to this show.
Well, if he does, then
he does. He sent me a message on Twitter, much like Kevin Von Erich.
I'm just saying, he was a great collegiate wrestler, even though he went to Minnesota and he's married to Sable. I have no problem with whatever.
He's like 10 years older than him, by the way, which is weird, but okay.
We don't talk bad about Brock Lesnar.
Never, nope. Because
I wouldn't.
He's living. He's staring at me right now. It scares
me. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So the women's Royal Rumble was really good, surprisingly enough. It's the first time there was some sort of Rumble or anything where they made coherent sense.
Well, yeah, because in the past they've done similar shit where it's like, oh, we're going to have a 20 women schoolgirl battle royal where you got to eliminate the female competitors like through the middle ropes and shit. We have a 10 women pillow fight. I've seen those. Those really happened. Check 2002 WWE. That shit really fucking went down.
I try not to watch that.
Yeah. So. I like the fact that they had Charlotte and Alexa, not even on commentary, just sitting there just watching this shit, which I thought was really cool.
That was really good. I think that I like how they had Asuka win, because even though you knew she was gonna win, it was just very scary to think that if she didn't, what would the fuck that mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad they had her won, and she's
you think if a Nikki Bella would have won, they would have fucking rioted?
Perhaps.
They'll be screaming like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking cancel my subscription," like they do for the Rumble historically.
I don't think that it would have made any sense for Nikki Bella to come back and win anyway. So that's good.
It would either had to been Asuka, Bayley, or Sasha in any kind of those scenarios.
Well, Sasha's gonna die in a match.
Can she not fucking do dives anymore because she just lands on her fucking face every single time? I've been talking about this for 8 months.
I don't really care for suicide dives at this point, but at least if you're like the Usos, you don't die every time you do one. But yeah, she's not. I don't know.
I'm surprised she doesn't have any major injuries yet, or at least a concussion.
Well, I mean, she broke Paige's neck, so there's that. Let's not get into that either. That wasn't really her fault, but
But she almost killed. Remember, she almost killed Charlotte.
Yes, she's
she's a little botchy for my taste.
I'm not a big Sasha Banks fan.
I'm waiting for someone to rip off her wig though, because I think that'd be hilarious.
I could have done without the Vicky Guerrero.
That was a little too ha-ha for me.
And annoying. Awful. And that would have been nice if AJ Lee would have come back, but that shit's never going to happen.
No.
So,
I mean, it would have been nice to see a Wendy Richter, Medusa jump in there. That would have been cool.
I think Medusa could have done it. I don't think Wendy Richter she's probably fairly old.
No. If Moolah and Mae Young could do shit up until their 90s, I'm sure Wendy Richter can do something.
I think Wendy Richter has more pride than that, but Moolah let's not get into that either. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really good, and like you said, everybody that came back did a decent job.
Yeah, no one was morally offensive except for Kelly Kelly.
Yeah, and they had it was neat seeing old rivals meet up again.
Yeah,
and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. Other than Stephanie McMahon constantly reiterating the fact that how historical it was.
Yeah.
That's great. We get it. We've never seen a women's Royal Rumble before. That in of itself makes it historic. Thought that was good. So that was cool. I'm glad Asuka won.
Would you like to see maybe some women like come out of the indies, like just a couple of high profile women off the indies, just to because in Philly they would have known who they were anyway.
Yeah, I mean that would have been okay, I guess. I thought it was cool that they had the next women's champion, Ember Moon, come out. That was really cool. She
she played up her injury too. That worked out well.
All that. Even Adam Cole played up his injury.
Yeah.
Little Adam Cole. I love that motherfucker. But anyway, I think it would have been cool. I like how they had the next guys come out in the men's Royal Rumble too.
Yeah,
forgot
that was good.
But I think too, it would have been. I don't know. I'm just glad but I think that they did a good job about only featuring women on their roster, and I think that was important too, because a lot of times when they have women's stuff, they just bring randos in, and they didn't this time. So, and then what's that chick named, the one that leads the Riot Squad?
Ruby Riot.
Ruby Riot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
By the way, I'm telling you, I'm calling this right now. Today is February 8th, 2018. Liv Morgan will be the star coming out of the new women that come up from NXT. She is the one. I'm telling you right now. I was right on Alexa Bliss. I'm right on Carmella. Liv Morgan is the next one. I'm telling you. I'm calling it right now. Calling my shot.
Very well.
We called Elias. Elias just beat John Cena.
Hey, Elias was okay. He hit Finn Balor in the head with a guitar. All right, that shit was cool as fuck. All right. Like, you can't. He's just, oh God. Anytime you hit somebody with a fucking guitar in the head.
We called that shit fucking months ago on this program.
We did. We called it here. You heard it here first. That's what happens when you go to live shows. You see shit. Go to live shows, people. Live wrestling, live music. Support it.
Agreed. And making her debut on this show, Ronda Rousey. Little swerve action. We thought she was in Colombia, I believe, filming that movie. Yes. They actually tweeted out pictures of her, and supposedly in Colombia at the time. Even her husband took another plane back, like ended up in like some undisclosed area, so they could really hide the fact that she's in Philadelphia. So they were able to fool the masses and have her come out as a big surprise. Do you think it took away from Asuka's moment, though?
I don't think so. I think Asuka. I mean, it would be different if like. It was some like Asuka's first big moment, but Asuka walked in and she had a big, like she already had her debut. It wasn't like she came up from next and won the Royal Rumble. And it's Asuka. Nobody needs to like.
And it wasn't like it was Snooki or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and the fact that she like tried to shake her hand, and Asuka like slapped it away.
Like, no, I'm gonna fuck you up one day.
Yes. So that's cool. I don't know what's gonna happen with Rousey. I don't know if she can talk. I don't even know if she can wrestle. So we'll see. Is
there a concern that they might bring her up to the roster too quick? Like, she should probably spend like 8 months in NXT at least.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
You kind of want to have her for Mania to do something with Stephanie, but you want to kind of make sure that she can go, because they had Angle for like almost a year and a half, 2 years. They had Brock for a long time in developmental before he came up.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, she is a judo, so she has some of that background.
But but she could end up like Bad News Brown, though. Bad News Brown won a medal in judo.
Well, he was good. He wasn't a bad wrestler.
No, he was all right. He should have been WWF champion.
He
should have beat Macho for the belt.
Macho. But yeah, so it was cool. I liked how she had like the Rowdy Rousey thing, and I think that it wasn't bad. I don't know.
She's wearing Piper's jacket, which didn't fit her, but she's wearing Roddy. That's actually Roddy Piper's jacket. Roddy Piper's son confirmed that on Twitter.
So yeah, it was cool. I don't know. It was kind of weird. I just kept pointing at the sign. It didn't talk.
That's the big joke now. You've seen the memes online that now they have them pointing to different shit, which is hilarious. They take the WrestleMania sign out, put like Waffle House.
Yeah, it was a little bit much.
They've done that for a long time, and no one's ever called them out on that bullshit, because they've done that a bunch of times. I've seen that many times. Yeah. That's nothing new.
It's not. We get it. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know why they did that with her, but I don't know. Overall, Rumble was a pretty good damn show. They probably was the best I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but they're like killing it this year with their major shows.
Well, I got to
And
mention this. It's like the WWE is like your prototypical baseball designated hitter, right? You know what? They're gonna bat like 250. They're probably gonna strike out a fucking ton. But when they fucking connect, they fucking hit a home run. They're a 40 home run a year guy. You know, it's all or nothing. They take swings and they miss a lot, especially on their B pay-per-views and especially on television. But between your big four pay-per-views and NXT takeovers, like those are at least 8 really great shows.
that's true. And I think this kind of goes back to them not running. No, okay, with the network, I think it makes sense for them to run one big event a month. Now that they have the network, when it's a pay-per-view model, it made 0 sense because I don't know how many people are actually buying every show.
But why do they have to be pay-per-views? Why can't we make them Saturday night's main events? Because that's what they used to do back in the days. They used to run Saturday night's main events like every 3 months.
Well, they're doing a deal with Fox.
In between their pay-per-view.
They're doing a deal with Fox, so I don't know what that's going to do. I think it would make more sense to do something like New Japan does, where they like hold an event that is on the network, let's say, and then in syndication, they put it on they run it after the fact or not live or something on like Fox or something for free or whatever they want to do, or have like the B show, or I don't know. But it makes sense to like still do pay-per-view, obviously have them all available on the network because that's how they want to get people. I think if they ran every month.
But I'm curious about what the views on, say, a random pay-per-view name, what the Elimination pay-per-view 2 years ago. Who's watching that shit now? I'm just curious about what their views on their more recent B pay-per-views. Obviously, like if you're gonna watch Survivor Series '88 probably 50 times, right? You're gonna watch like Halloween Havoc 1995 a shit ton of times. But I don't know if you're gonna read, if you're gonna go back and do some of these B pay-per-views that no one gives a shit about. Like, what's the rewatch value on those?
Vengeance all the time. No, I don't know. Yeah, I agree. Like, there are very few times that a B show has, like, okay, I mean, maybe some money in the banks here and there.
A TLC, maybe.
Yeah, but nothing. Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. They make money. Obviously, they don't have any complaints. So,
but could they be making more? Can they be make double the amount of money they're making? Because that's always the excuse anytime they criticize them. Well, they make money. Well, yeah, but how much money are you leaving on the table?
I don't know. I just don't know. But I don't know. I think if they get something with Fox, then we'll see maybe them change.
Because Fox, like I think the only thing they own is left because they sold the rest of it to Disney. I think they own their Fox Sports Network
and they own
Fox News, but I don't think they own the Fox Network because The Simpsons and Family Guy, that's all Disney properties now.
Well, if they get a deal, then I don't know how they're doing with Fox. I don't know that I mean. Disney owns ABC though. That's true. Disney should just. If I was WWE, I'd try to go do with Disney. They own fucking thing.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's good or not. We'll see.
I love Mickey Mouse. You don't talk bad.
I don't talk bad about the mouse because he probably end up owning me someday too. So I like Disney. I like Disney World. I want to go back. Can't wait to Star Wars Land to open. We're very stoked about that. So,
2019.
I'm surprised. Disney and wrestling has a strange kind of history, especially with the Disney tapings back in WCW when it was part of the attraction down there for a long time. So, the NWO throwing Rey Mysterio into the trail, that was at Disney. So there's a history there.
That's a good things happen. I don't know. I think anyway. The Rumble was great. It was good. It was something worth watching. I think that it had what it needed. It did what it needed to do in all avenues. Other than the Seth Rollins tag match, it was good. It was a great show. Yeah. But again, that match, they had to have somebody do that match. Like you couldn't have had the champion. You couldn't have had the championship. The triple threat right after the Rumble. Right. You just couldn't have done it. It'd be like following Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. You just don't. Why? Don't do that. So I think that a good idea, they had to have kind of that calm down time period. So I think it was a necessary evil. So you can't really knock that. And if dude really had a neck injury, good on Jason Jordan for like showing up. And even though he couldn't do a damn thing, he at least went out there and did what they asked him to do. So as annoying and stupid and shitty as he's been booked, if he did
it's not his fault. It's not his fault, personally.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty awesome that he went out there and busted his ass and like endangered himself just to put on a match that didn't even matter. So good for him. Like, he obviously cares, and that's kind of important. So hopefully he'll have good things in the future, and maybe some time off is a good thing for him. He can come back, get repackaged, and see what they can do with him, and hopefully he doesn't have any reoccurring effects. So, and I like watching Seth Rollins curb stomp people. I'm glad they brought that back.
Agreed. So I think overall a great pay-per-view. I would suggest everyone to not watch any wrestling between now and WrestleMania, and you'll probably be a happier person.
It's a true story.
All right, so thank you so much, Luke, and I'll catch you next time.
All right, later. Thank you.
All right, and we are back. So, Matt, I want to go over some of our favorite feuds.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I told you that son of a bitch who plows in my driveway every time it snows. I'm going to get that guy. I don't care.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to pull a Magnum TA promo. I'm going to get you in Baltimore. I'm going to come all over you. Whoa, Magnum, what?
Tully Blanchard, all the people of Philadelphia know all the things you've done to myself, all the things you've done to the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. But it's time for some dues to be paid, some real heavy dues. You've done some things to me that you're going to have to answer for, and Philadelphia is the place you're going to answer for. The U.S. title is very prestigious, and you and I have gone round and round over it. And when we come to Philadelphia this time, there's going to be no mistaking what's going to happen. I'm going to come on you like nobody's ever come on you before. I'm coming there to take you out in no uncertain terms.
What?
We got to get that audio sometime for that. It's one of my favorite promos. It just goes off the rip.
I'll see if I can find it. Although I did see, I was watching Wrestling Challenge from 1992.
Yeah.
And Bobby and Gorilla are talking about something. Oh, they're talking about Sherry. Sherry's just with Shawn, right? She just, she started managing Shawn Michaels. And Bobby's going on how beautiful Sherry is. And Gorilla turns to him and says, "Do you need a napkin or do you need a sock?" I'm like, what the fuck? I wasn't gonna get that when I was 10 years old, but I get that fucking now. That's fucking awesome.
Wow. Gorilla.
Ooh, Gorilla. That's sassy. Someone called me sassy like a year ago. I didn't know if I should be offended by that.
Sassy. It's not one of my favorite terms. I always hated that term. I always like people call themselves sassy, or like guys that call themselves like studs. Like, no.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. It's people. It's people on Twitter that have 400 followers that think they have a brand to protect. It's weird to me. Unbelievable. All right, so my favorite feud of all time is Savage versus Hogan. The Mega Powers explode.
Yes.
And what made this so memorable, my favorite feud of all time, was just the intensity of the hatred that Randy Savage had for Hulk Hogan. If you watch those interviews when Savage is talking.
Oh, yeah, Hulk Hogan, I remember way back when the Mega Powers were bonded, yeah. You made a lot of promises to the Macho Man, didn't you? Promises that you didn't keep. I remember one specific one, yeah. You promised that Elizabeth would never be in a dangerous position. You broke that promise, didn't you, Hulk Hogan? And who had to come in and make that critical save? The Macho Man, Randy Savage, covering for Hogan again. Hogan, I only come down to your matches when it's absolutely necessary. When you're down and out, that's the kind of rules I play by. But you play by different rules, yeah. You gotta get in your grandstanding and your hot dogging, don't you? Yeah. I remember a time when I wrestled the King too. And in fact, I had boss men on the outside of the ring, just like you. The only difference was I was doing real good, yeah. I was styling out there like a champion, yeah. But guess who shows up for no reason at all to get his grandstanding and hot dogging in? You, man. You, Hulk Hogan, yeah. You just couldn't stand to sit back with your feet up and watch the champion in action. Well, look at this, prima donna. Not only are you a hot dog, a grandstander, a showboat, and a prima donna, but you're a liar, too. In fact, I remember a time where we stood in front of the man that does nothing but lie, Brother Love, and you told some of the biggest lies that I've ever heard of in my whole life. It's a lie, Hulk Hogan, and that's enough to get me hot. But what you said to Elizabeth is enough to get me to the boiling point, yeah! I love Elizabeth. Hulk Hogan, you say you love Elizabeth? Well, I got news for you, man. Yeah, I got news for you. Elizabeth is gonna be in the corner of the Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania 5, yeah. And let me tell you something. You say you love me like a brother. Well, listen to this, Hulk Hogan. I hate you. I hate your guts. And that's what's gonna be left all over the mat after WrestleMania 5.
He seems like he wants to murder Hogan. Hogan is not too fond of Randy Savage at this point, but I think when you look at their interviews alone.
And the only thing I can say, what a difference a year makes. A year ago at this time at WrestleMania 4, you were at the side of the Macho Man when he became the undisputed World Wrestling Federation champ. 1 year later, here in Atlantic City, you're going to be challenging this very same man for the world crown.
Well, you know, you're exactly right, Mean Gene. 1 year ago, brother, me and the Macho Man were as one. We were best of friends. We would do anything to win together, brother. And if you would have told me 1 year later, right in the very same place that it started, in the Trump Plaza, that we'd be locking horns, going head on head for the WWF Championship, I'd have called you a liar, Mean Gene. But you know something? I should have seen this thing coming, man. As the Mega Power team was formed, brother, as the Summer Slams, as the Survivor Series went down, as the Mega Power started growing together, the Mania was a little bit ahead of the madness, man. But it really didn't matter. You were either in or you were either out, brother. You either believed or you didn't, man. And you were either ready or you weren't. The Macho Man made me feel that he believed in the 3 commandments of the prayers, the training, and the vitamins. He made me believe that he was in my corner, Mean Gene, and he also made me believe that he was ready to fight all odds. That's why I stuck with him, brother. That's why we stayed together so long.
You know, as that relationship of the Mega Powers deteriorated even further, Macho Man Randy Savage went so far as to attack your Hulkamaniacs.
Oh, yeah, he did more than just attack the Hulkamaniacs, brother. He went so far as to put our manager, the lovely Elizabeth, right between us, man. It was him that was eaten alive by the jealousy. It was him that was eaten alive by the lust, brother. It was a simple fact that the Macho Man couldn't be the man that all my Hulkamaniacs wanted him to be, brother. He couldn't handle the load. He couldn't handle the pressure. But what really tore us apart was the way he was so jealous of Hulkamania, the way he put Elizabeth between us, the way he manipulated her, the way he twisted this whole beautiful thing around. But I found out one thing, Macho Man. You're not a believer in the commandments, brother. You're a cheap shot artist. You take whatever you can get as quick as you want. You were never in my corner. You were always on the outside, waiting for me to make the first move. But just like Donald Trump, Macho Man, I hope you're ready, brother, because Donald Trump has questions in his own mind. He sent a whole team of seismologists out here to check the foundation of the Trump Towers, because when the mega powers explode off the launching pad, brother, as we erupt over the whole Atlantic City, he was worried about the foundation. He was worried that the thousands of people in the arenas might become unseated and swallowed by the earth. Donald Trump, don't worry about my Hulkamaniacs. They're survivors. They're ready. But you, Macho Man, I don't care where you stand. I don't care what you believe in. All I want from you is your best. I want you to be ready. I want the Macho Madness to be at its peak. Because when Hulkamania rules, when Hulkamania lives forever, when Hulkamania puts you down on your knees, I want the whole world to realize that I beat you at your best. And at the end of WrestleMania 5, I will be the World Wrestling Federation champion. And what you gonna do, Macho Man, when the whole world full of Hulkamaniacs destroy you?
And again, that feud was building for a year. Now, Savage didn't make the switch until like February. WrestleMania is like in late March, early April. So he's only a heel for a very short time before he dropped the belt to Hogan. And it was funny because I was watching shows, and Hogan replaced Savage and matches with Bad News Brown. Because Bad News and Savage were feuding at the time. And this is where Bad News is like, oh, you're doing favors for Jack Tunney. That's why I can't get a title match. And all this other shit. And then Hogan cuts his promo on Savage after Savage turns heel. It's like, oh, you won't defend Elizabeth's honor, well, I'll do it. And then he fights Bad News Brown, and then Savage wrestles Warrior for a little bit, right before WrestleMania. The match at WrestleMania 5 is probably my favorite Hogan match. Not my favorite Savage match, but probably my favorite Hogan match. And don't forget, guys, this feud lasted up until, like, their last match was, like, right before WrestleMania 6. So it went another year.
Yeah.
Like, they fought at SummerSlam that year, where it's Savage and Zeus taking on Hogan and Beefcake, and they just kept on feuding with each other for the entire 1989, up until early 1990 when they had the match on Saturday Night Main Event where Buster Douglas was the referee. What's funny about that match, if you watch that match back, they do the thing where, like, oh, Savage is going to punch, Buster Douglas. They're going to box. So Buster Douglas throws a punch, but it's a lame-ass punch that misses Macho. Macho being smart, he's like, I'm not selling that bullshit. So he doesn't sell it. So Buster Douglas has to hit him again. Because Savage was going to go down to some lame-ass punch. So
that's the way to do it, man. How many times have we seen someone sell something that's like airmailed, and it's like, come on.
Don't sell it. If it doesn't connect, don't sell it. It's just, that's the way it is. When it comes to Hogan and Savage, they had such good chemistry. And you could feel that there was real-life tension, and there was. Two guys shooting for that top spot. Later on, Savage claims that Hogan is the one that broke up him and Elizabeth. They have fucking problems. And they feuded again, in WCW, here and there. And then they were tag team partners, and they were feuding, and they had the reviving elbow, which if you guys haven't seen the reviving elbow, this is hilarious. So check this out. In WCW, right? There was a match where, Hogan's out. Like, the heel's going to kill him. Like, he's out cold. So you know what Macho does? Macho gets on the top rope and hits the fucking elbow. And Hogan automatically hooks up out of the elbow. To me, it's hilarious because he used to do that shit all the time. It's like, I know I'll wake his ass up. I'm going to fucking elbow drop him. Fuck it. Yeah. and then Hogan and Savage win the match. It's completely insane. So what's your thought on Savage and Hogan?
Oh, that's one of my favorites. I think what really made it stand above, again, was the intensity and hatred. You believed that these guys didn't like each other, but more importantly, I think one of the biggest hooks was, as a viewer, you could understand the Macho Man's point of view, which I think often is a throwaway when it comes to a lot of feuds.
Yeah.
They don't look at the actual, like, well, is there a perspective you can understand why they're doing this?
Because from Savage's point of view, Hulk Hogan's always there trying to steal his thunder. He's the champ now. You're always hot dogging and grandstanding and what have you. You're lusting after Elizabeth. You're going after my girl. But when he showed, like, video, like, tape of, like, Hogan doing stuff that, could be questionable. So you kind of understood Savage. I think if you watch WrestleMania 5, because his heel turn is so fresh, they're still cheering Savage a little bit there.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, I'm like, Hogan was the heel on that one.
No, I really think it was a feud that, again, it was sort of the first that I can think of. Maybe Piper Snuka. That was like a personal, like, hatred feud.
Yeah.
And it really sold the matches. You wanted to see what happens. And I think that the combination that make it different too is it wasn't just that they were enemies. It was that they teamed up and they had a partnership and then it disintegrated. And it was done well all the way through. And I still think the moment where he tackles him in the back room on the
oh my God, that's amazing.
Because it's just like, that's the kind of unbridled hatred. Like, one of the things we've talked about before on the show for our new subscribers is keeping the moment real. Like, I have a theater degree, and one of the things I talked about was being in the moment. And if your gut instinct is to do something, go with it. Don't just fight the feeling, because that'll probably make the performance better. So when you see wrestlers come out and they have these long entrances, and they're like, these guys hate each other. Man, they can't stand each other. But they're sure going to wait while he poses on the top turnbuckle of each turnbuckle for the fans, because that's what they've been told to do. Bullshit. It should be a thing where as soon as that guy comes out of ringside, tackle him, or like charge up the stands, and and some guys do that. We've seen it every so often where they've charged up the ramp and started fighting on the ramp.
We saw it with Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar.
Right, and that's what you want to see from an intense feud. And you can build to it. You can have that feud start off, and the first match isn't like that. And then it gets to a point where they just hate each other, and kill.
Did you know in that backstage segment, right before they went live, Savage and Hogan were having a real argument? Like, they were yelling at each other for real. And then they, like, all right, we're live. And then fucking Macho attacks them. So, like, it was as legitimate as you can get. It was amazing. Amazingly done. Randy Savage is my favorite wrestler, so it's like, anything he does is gold.
Yes.
Minus WrestleMania 10, but we're not going to talk about that. I forget that ever happened. That's
right.
Awful. Fucking crush. Next up, we have Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Now, obviously, you go right into the Montreal Screwjob, which we just hit the 20-year anniversary of in November.
I tell you what, why don't you two degenerates come down here right now and step in the ring with me right now? Either one of you, I don't care. Either one of you right here, right now. What? Is he challenging me?
Is challenging us?
Is he challenging us?
us?
That's it. Right now, regularly, I would take him up on this challenge. But you know what I'm not gonna? I'll tell you why. Because the last time I took him up on the challenge was WrestleMania, and I beat his ass for that stupid piece of tin he's got on his shoulder. And at Survivor Series, I'm going to take that stupid piece of tin you got on your shoulders once again. I've beaten you, I've beaten your brother, I've beaten both your brother-in-laws, and I'll beat up your whole family if you get in my face one more time.
And as far as I'm concerned, Bret Hart, you want a piece of me, huh? You want a piece of me? Come on! I'll take you on, Hitman. I'll give you the worst beat of your life. Hey, wait a second. I did that last week. I already did that last week, Hitman. So never mind. I don't need to do it twice. I already did it.
I tell you what, I've had so many shots to my head, I almost forgot how bad we beat him up last week. Oh, Hitman, I got news for you. Sometime during this show, we are going to cross paths, and you talk about us being degenerates. You know what? I'm tired of Generation X getting a bad rap.
You think you're a degenerate?
What? You think you're a degenerate?
Well, I mean,
I'm positive I'm one.
I guess I'd have to be one.
Wait, you know what? Generation X always gets a bad rap. Everybody calls them degenerates. Degeneration X, is that us? Degeneration X, Triple H, HBK, China, Ravish and Rick. We are Degeneration X. You make the rules, and we will break them. Yeah. You guys aren't going to make it to the Survivor Series. You won't make it that far.
World Wrestling Federation champion Bret the Hitman Hart nailing that 300-pound plus Papa Shango. However, as you saw earlier tonight, some interesting developments that definitely will affect you at the Survivor Series. Intercontinental champion now Shawn Michaels. That means it's going to be champion versus champion when he meets you Thanksgiving Eve. You know, he said...
Intercontinental champion.
This is my interview.
Intercontinental champion. Hey, he's not the man that came out here earlier tonight and made the promise that he would become the Intercontinental Champion. It was Shawn Michaels. He's not the man that came out here tonight and told everybody that at Survivor Series, I'm going to take what you think is rightfully you.
Hey, guys, please.
Why don't you not talk about it and do something about it?
I got news for you, Jack. I don't know how good your memory is. Do you know who I beat tonight? Do you remember who I beat tonight? Let me remind you a little bit, Hitman. It was the British Bulldog. You remember him, huh? Do you remember him? That's the same guy that humiliated you in front of 80,000 people. And I got news for you. That is nothing compared to what Shawn Michaels is going to do to you at Survivor Series. Get ready, because you're not going to have that.
Hey, you guys, save it.
Come on, pal.
I, for one, ladies and gentlemen, will not want to miss that one. Vince, let's get back to you.
And this feud dates back, as early as 1992. Right when Shawn turned heel, he basically went in the program for the Intercontinental Championship with Bret. And they would, take shots at each other. And it was funny watching their early promos because you can see a difference in the promos in 1992 and the promos in 1997 because they were really going after each other hard.
Yeah.
Personal issues, real life heat. Like, if you ever watched that Survivor Series 97, you watch that match, that's what a grudge match is supposed to be.
Yeah.
We had the screw job finish and whatever. That aside, the match itself, it's not the greatest match in the world. They've had better matches, but the match had so much intensity. They're just basically just brawling and kicking the shit out of each other. So Bret and Shawn is definitely up there in terms of impact on the industry, longevity, intensity. Anything that you want to put, that makes a great, rivalry and feud. Bret and Shawn definitely had it.
Oh, sure. I think it's a testament to their ability to perform. They didn't, granted Screwjob aside, screw each other over more deliberately.
Yeah. Like, they would bring up real life issues. Like, Bret was, he said some stuff about Shawn posing in Playgirl. Then he had the famous Sunny Days comment. Now Bret's wife thinks he's cheating on her. He's cheating on her with Sunny. So there was real life ramifications in their stuff. And Shawn was on the chemicals at the time.
Yeah.
So he wasn't too nice to be around. So again, a great rivalry. Basically we forget that Bret, when he won the world belt, his first pay-per-view opponent was Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series.
Really?
That was an okay match. They did that spot where Shawn does the drop kick, but he does like the girls Finn Balor style drop kick from the second turnbuckle, and Bret just steps back, gets him the sharpshooter, and beats him.
Yeah.
So these guys have been wrestling a long, like 5 years that feud went on, and then you had the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. Then you had all the other shit where Shawn didn't want to put over Bret was going to put over Shawn, and it was a whole fucking to do. And that's the real life stuff that went on with that. But in the ring, these guys were money. Like, anytime they touched, it was money. It depends. If you're a Bret Hart guy, you like those matches. If you're a Shawn Michaels fan, you like those matches. So they always had good matches against each other. Next up, we have Steve Austin and Mr. McMahon. So Matt, what do you think made this feud so good?
I think in a way it was the classic employee versus boss mentality of it. That's a big part of it. I think McMahon really sold it well. His performance, unfortunately or fortunately, set the bar for all future heel, commissioner, boss type roles. Almost to the point where now wrestling has almost had a period where we haven't had, in WWE, any time practically where there wasn't some sort of heel authority figure. To the point where it's dead. Like, it sucks when they do that now.
They beat that dead horse to, they obliterated it.
They should have gotten away from it. They could have done. What they could have done was gotten away from it for years. And then if Shane did it eventually, it would be a, Shane's following in his father's footsteps approach, as opposed to, oh, Stephanie, here we go again. But I think at the time, McMahon's attitude, performance was phenomenal.
Who knew when you watched like Vince doing commentary like in 1988 that this guy, first of all, was that big, because he always wore like big stuff, so they didn't know how big he was, and that this guy was such a performer. You would see him like on the Slammers doing the cheesy dancing and the over the top commentary. You're like, this guy's a cheeseball, but for fuck's sake, like, this guy cut a hell of a promo. This guy, not the best worker in the world, but he got the shit kicked out of him really well. And then Austin at that time was approaching, I was always a bigger Stunning Steve Austin fan than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, I was a big Stunning Steve guy in WCW. And then, my personal opinion, his work declined when he got in WWE. Like, he became more of a brawler, and that's a lot of it had to do with injuries and what have you. But I think McMahon brought the best out of Austin, and Austin brought the best out of McMahon. That rivalry is so epic. And, they just did it on the Raw 25th anniversary. They had him, they had Austin stun McMahon. So I think something that's stood the test of time. Probably the biggest angle they've ever done, and probably the biggest angle they would ever do. The biggest box office, that's for sure. Amazingly well done would be the beard truck or Austin pouring the cement in McMahon's Corvette, or him getting hit in the head with the bedpan.
Right. That's still. I think one thing it teaches us too, though, like you look nowadays, like Braun Strowman flipping over the ambulance or the truck, is those exaggerated moments are part of what sell the business, and they got away from it for a long time. I'm not saying they do it every week, but like once in a while, you do something big and out of the blue, it goes over. But I think what happens again, staying with the shtick of the heel boss all the time. Long-time listeners know how much I hate that. Mix it up. Don't be afraid to have downtime and transition time, and have the old Jack Tunney type where Kurt Angle is kind of useless anyways, honestly, as a commish. I do think what they should do, instead of just doing this whole thing where like every program begins with, well, you guys in the ring and you guys in the ring. All right, you're in a match later. Like, tell us what's coming up. Tell us a match is going to be on the show. Like, give us the show ahead of time. Whatever.
They need neutral authority figures like Jack on the Tape Tunney, or even a Jim Crockett. Bill Watts, to this day, is the best authority figure I've seen on television. Bar none. That's it. Bill Watts is the guy. He was tough. You don't fuck with him, but he was fair. And sometimes, he would do what was right, even though the fans didn't like it either. You know what I mean? So, to me, Bill Watts, best authority figure. At least my favorite authority figure on television of all time. Next up, we have Dusty Rhodes and the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Fans, right here, the world's heavyweight champion, Ric Flair. And Rick, there's always something that separates the champ from the rest of us, and I think it must be money when I look at you.
There's another expression that goes something like that, but it's called, there's always something that separates the men from the boys. Now, I've been traveling around the world, and everywhere I go, they're saying that Dusty Rhodes is in the Mid-Atlantic area hollering, where's Ric Flair? Where's the world champion? Why does he come out here and stand face to face with me and talk about Starrcade? Well, I tell you what, Big Dust, the world champion, and you can say that right, brother, the world champion, Slick Rick, whatever you want to call me, has been traveling from one end of this world to the other, upholding the honor and the dignity, of the National Wrestling Alliance. That's right, Ric Flair, the world heavyweight champion, has been doing it better than any man alive. You know why? Because I'm better than any man alive, and this says so. Custom made, from head to toe.
Hey, where's Dusty Rhodes? Look at, he's watching you.
I see him back there. All right, Big Dust. You saw me a minute ago. Now it's my turn to talk and your turn to listen. There's three things that Ric Flair has always had a fancy for. Big, long cars, fine-looking women, and lots of money in my pocket. $1 million. Think about it, Dusty Rhodes. All of you out there, think about it. $1 million. And this, you see, this is what cranks me up. This is what motivates me. This is what drives the women wild. I like walking to the airport having them say, here comes Slick Rick. And they're also going to say, there's a man that beat the dream for $1 million.
Here is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty, your fans welcome you back, man.
First of all, I would like to thank the many, many fans throughout this country that wrote cards and letters to Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, while I was down. Secondly, I want to thank Jim Crockett Promotions for waiting and taking the time, because I know how important it was. Starrcade 85, it is to the wrestling fans, it is to Jim Crockett Promotions. And Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, with that weight, got what I wanted. Ric Flair, the world's heavyweight champion. I don't have to say a lot more about the way I feel about Ric Flair. No respect, no honor. There is no honor among thieves in the first place. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. Hard Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work and got 4 or 5 kids and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times are when the auto workers are out of work and they tell them go home. And hard times are when a man has worked at a job 30 years. 30 years. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, hey, a computer took your place, Daddy. That's hard time. That's hard time. And Ric Flair, you put hard times on this country by taking Dusty Rhodes out. That's hard time. And we all had hard times together. I admit I don't look like the athlete of the day supposed to look. My belly's just a little big, my hand is just a little big, but brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad. And there were 2 bad people. One was John Wayne and he's dead, brother, and the other was right here. Nature Boy Ric Flair. The world's heavyweight title belongs to these people. I'm gonna reach out right now. I want you at home to know my hand is touching your hand for this gathering of the biggest body of people in this country, in this universe, all over the world now, reaching out because the love that was given me, and this time I will repay you now because I will be the next world's heavyweight champion on this Hard Time Blues. Dusty Rhodes Tour 85 and Ric Flair, Nature Boy. Let me leave you with this. One way to hurt Ric Flair is to take what he cherishes more than anything in the world. That's the world's heavyweight title. I'm gonna take it. I've been there twice. This time when I take it, Daddy, I'm gonna take it for you. Let's gather for it. Don't let me down now, because I came back for you, for that man up there that died 10, 12 years ago and never got the opportunity to see a real world champion. And I'm proud of you and thank God I have you. And I love you. Love you!
So, Matt, what made this feud so memorable?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to the dynamic of the poor versus rich. You had the common man versus the, high-flying, wealthy playboy. And if you watch the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair, you kind of really talked about how well that worked because, Dusty could talk the talk, and Flair lived the life. So people rooted for either side, and few could ever talk like Dusty could, in that connective type way. And Flair was just this charismatic bad guy. So their styles, of course, Dusty was the blood and guts, and Flair was the, duck and run half the time. But I think the people connected to that story, of the common guy trying to overcome the odds and beat it. And he did a couple times, He always had short runs as champion, that is Dusty. But it gave him a lethality, which I think helped him as a performer.
There was no way Dusty was going to do our Broadways for fucking 3 years straight. So he wasn't going to do that like that. I do it for 3 months, baby. That's all I need. Because in my mind, I think Dusty thought being Dusty Rhodes was better than being the world champion.
Yes.
And it might have been right.
Well, I think it goes back to a point we made before that do you need a belt to put this guy over? And you don't. Some guys are so big they don't need a title to make them.
For me, when it comes to Dusty and Flair, I think what made it effective and why they went with it for a long time, probably longer than they should, is Dusty is the only person that could keep Flair a heel. Because people liked Flair a lot. Like, even look at 84. You look at 84, right after Flair wins the belt, and his first feud with Dusty, Flair was still essentially a babyface. Like, Flair's having matches with like Buddy Landel and Tully Blanchard in 84. So he's not really all that villainous, but it's Dusty that made sure that, like, okay, we're going to make Flair a legitimate heel. We're going to get some heat on him. And I think Dusty is the only way that he stays a heel, because if you even look at the matches where he's not feuding with Dusty, so you even look at like Luger and Sting to a certain degree, when Flair's a heel, like, people are cheering for Flair as much as they're cheering for Luger or Sting in those matches. You know,
Yeah.
you go into Philadelphia, they're booing Sting out of the building and they're cheering Flair. So, Dusty's credit, he's able to keep Flair the heel. So, it's one of those things that's, you know, it's Lakers versus Celtics. It's that type of rivalry. I think in the course of wrestling, I've never seen a bad Dusty Flair match. Ever.
Right.
Ever. You know, Dusty's doing his Dusty thing. Flair doesn't use Flair thing. And for some reason, it gelled and it worked. So those guys will always have amazing matches. And this is the emotion and the intensity of their promos, you know. It just, you know, with the Horsemen and all the other stuff, amazingly done, well done. You know, longevity, intensity, emotion. You know, one of the best feuds of all time. Next up, you know, since there's not a lot of this feud on, you know, film, there's a little bit, but it's talked about with all the historians out there. The Funks, you know, Dory and Terry Funk, and the Briscoe brothers. We had Jerry Briscoe and former World Heavyweight Champion Jack Briscoe. Hot take, guys. Hot take. I think that Jerry Briscoe is a better talker than Jack Briscoe.
My God.
Yeah, you know, you may not care, but I think Jerry Briscoe's better talking than Jack Briscoe. And this feud was so legendary that anytime that the Funks came into Florida, they would be heels. Anytime the Briscoes came into Amarillo, they were the heels. So they would do funny stuff. They would cut up the matches, so it would make the Briscoes seem villainous in Amarillo, and they would make them look like heroes in Florida. So it was amazingly well done. Again, not very documented, but this is the historical pick in terms of one of the all-time best feuds. Behind the scenes, shenanigans. Dory Funk Jr. was supposed to drop the belt to Jack Briscoe in Houston. But there's a lot of shenanigans. A lot of people say that Dory Sr. did not want Dory to drop a belt to another babyface. He also didn't want him to drop the belt in Texas. So, depending on who you believe, Dory Funk was in a car accident on his ranch, and was unable to show up for his match against Jack Briscoe. I don't know. Eddie Graham was pissed. Jack Briscoe was pissed. The Funk still maintained to this day that Dory was injured. Dory did end up dropping the belt a few weeks later to Harley Race. Harley Race dropped the belt to Jack Briscoe. So there's always been a resentment and a kind of a bitterness because of that between the Funks and the Briscoes. There you go. And then I couldn't have a list of all-time favorite rivalries without talking about Jerry the King Lawler and the superstar Bill Dundee. These guys have been feuding for fucking 50 years, it feels like. They're still feuding to this day. They'll have a match next week, most likely. You know, these guys have been partners. These guys have been enemies. Lawler destroyed Dundee's car. Fucking Dundee shaved his head. Lawler shaves Dundee's wife's head. Like, these guys had every type of match, you know. And it's funny because it didn't matter what side of the aisle they were on. If they were both baby faces, when the fans would see them, like in a 7-Eleven or a gas station, they're like, oh, Lawler. Fucking Dundee be like, Lawler's a piece of shit. And they're both baby faces. Like, you know, we're tag team partners, but I don't really like him. So they would constantly turn on each other, and one would be a heel, one would be a babyface. They would loser leaves town, and Dundee would leave, and he'd go book Mid-South for a while, come back. And, you know, these guys are just, they're money in the ring to the degree of, like, their matches are phenomenal. And I'm not talking about, like, mat work and work rate. I'm talking about, if you watch you guys just sit there and, like, who's going to win, who's going to lose. And their matches are so amazing that there's little nuances that you don't really see today all that often. As the match moves on, and they accumulate damage, they can't do what they normally can do. So the part of the match, you know, they're beating the piss out of each other. Then he goes to hits a pile driver, but he hits it kind of fucked up because he's fucked up. You know what I mean? He hardly gets him up. He's like, gets him up, and he hits it, but he doesn't hit it 100%. And that's one thing you don't see anymore. So when the guys hit finishers or big moves, and you're 30 minutes into the match, but you're pressing the guy over his head like he's nothing, and throwing him across the ring.
Right.
That's not very believable. Like, if you're working on John Cena's back the entire match and he goes to give you a attitude adjustment, he should have a hard time getting you up for that, right? Because his back is hurt. But they don't, they hulk up essentially, and then they do their move without selling anything. So that's pretty ridiculous. But so Matt, what are your thoughts on Lawler and Dundee?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, I remember as a kid, for whatever reason, we got the financial news channel, and at midnight on Fridays they ran Memphis stuff, and sometimes it was old stuff and it was good stuff, but it was just like
they're still running Memphis TV in Memphis to this day. They put the old shows back on TV.
A great way to make use of the footage, kept the thing alive, and man, they killed each other. They had really great matches, so it was always a good time to watch them.
Now, these guys work snug. These guys were stiff as shit, and it's super believable. Amazing all around. I highly suggest, if you have not seen a Bill Dundee Jerry Lawler match, go out of your way, check it out. Go even watch the promos, because those guys were verbally almost on the same page. Lawler was a little bit better on a promo, but Bill Dundee's not far behind him, and they're able to go back and forth like no one's business. Dude was like, Lawler thinks he's a singer. He fucking sucks. Because Lawler would have his albums. Oh, you had his restaurant? That shit sucks. They go back and forth. Amazing. They're like two grumpy old men who hate each other. You know what I mean? It's just like,
definitely.
It's unbelievable. It's well done. Great stuff all around. So, guys, leave in the comment section, what are your favorite feuds or rivalries of all time? Please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to do that. As we wrap up, our next show will be our biggest show of all time. It's our series finale.
Bum, bum, bum.
It will be the showdown at Shea. Main event of this show will be Nature Boy Ric Flair, the NWA World Champion, taking on Bruiser Brody.
Whoa.
Oh, indeed, my friend.
Oh, no.
So
All
be
right.
on the lookout for that. It'll be coming out about a week's time or so. We'll see how that goes here. Again, guys, I know we got a lot of new subscribers. Please get the word out. Share this video if you're on YouTube, or if you see it on Twitter or Facebook. Please share this video. Get the word out. Throw us a like, throw us a comment. Make sure